Alrighty. Good morning to you all listening to the sound of my voice today. I want to thank you very much. Commented on my announcements about today's event on Microsoft 365 Fundamentals MS-900 Study Series. For you who is new here, my name is Joseph Afesu. I am a Microsoft MVP and MCT, and I'm happy because M365 is the workload where I am the most valuable professional or a most valuable professional, and I choose to always try as much as possible to give um, back to the society or the community by delivering trainings on this workload. And in the previous conversation that we had discussed about the concept of cloud technology or the introduction to cloud. So while in that introduction, we spoke about types of cloud deployment models and things around cloud services, types of cloud services. We explained a lot, and that is clear. Some few persons came to my DM to ask questions, and answers were provided to them. So if you are live here on this session and you have questions, please you can drop them during the course of the event. I may be able to see those questions, but if I'm not able to see them because I'm just the one moderating and as well presenting, I will definitely respond to them when the event is over, right? So in the other workload that we dealt with, which was in the first part in this conversation, right? So we looked at the definition of cloud, what cloud is, what cloud is not, right? And then we compared the types of cloud, which is also known as a deployment model, the private, public, and the hybrid cloud. And then we went on to talk about the service models, which are the software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service, which are most time calls PaaS, SaaS, and IaaS, right? So we also went on to look at the shared responsibility model, right? So we look at the shared responsibility model that speaks to the responsibility that is yours as a user or as a customer, and that which is of the cloud service provider, also called the CSP. So that is perfectly clear to a lot of people. And then we explained the concept of scalability, the concept of elasticity, the concept of disaster recovery, and things around that. And if I remember vividly, we spoke also about the fact that M365 is a public cloud solution, and it falls under the category of software as a service. So that will take care of that. Now that we've understood that M365 is a public cloud offering, right, and it is under the service called the platform, the software as a service. Now, really, what is M365? How can we describe it? We described it as productivity tool, right, which integrates traditional application and all the other applications to foster collaborations, innovations, and things around that, which we did in the last conversations that we had. So let's not buttress so much on the previous ones. The recording is also available. If you are on Facebook, you may want to check my profile. This event is being broadcast to Facebook at the moment. It is currently also broadcasting to LinkedIn, right? And then broadcasting to YouTube, two YouTube channels here that I have this event broadcasting to. I'm just trying to also check the questions I'm receiving from other platforms, just so I may just tell them to hold on that I'm going to provide responses to them. So that said, we are just going to now go on to what Microsoft 365 is, right? The applications that come with it. So the module here today, we are going to deal a lot with description of Microsoft 365 apps and services. So let's just see what we have for us today. Okay, trying to go to my next slide, and my PowerPoint seems to be loading, but not a problem. Let me just quickly see what is making it to hang. Okay, let me close this out first. All right, so where are you? I think that just closed, but no worries. I'm going to bring it up back on the screen. We are in the second version of this. I'm just going to pull it again. Okay, apologies. So that's coming back. Alrighty, that should be up in a bit, and then we can move ahead. So I'm going to do my list slide show when this is finished loading. I guess my PC needs a restart actually because it has been suffering recently. All right, so okay, so in today's discussion, we're going to be looking at what M365 is really, and then we say describe productivity solution of Microsoft 365. We'll also look at the collaboration solution of Microsoft 365, and then we'll equally look at the devices and cloud endpoint management, the concepts, and then the deployment around the management of devices that you use to access your M365 workload. Then we'll also describe the analytics and the administrative capabilities available in Microsoft 365. Really, what is Microsoft 365? So this is not sounding like broken record. It's just so we can. Repetition actually brings around mastery sometimes. So we may just be defining what M365 is in more focused kind of analysis, right? So in this module, really, we'll be dealing a lot with the Microsoft 365 and Office 365. So at the end of today's conversation, you should be able or you will be able to describe Microsoft 365 and Office 365, and you will be able to differentiate between Microsoft 365 and Office 365. So I mean there is difference or there are differences between M365 and O365. Yes. So in case you've not heard that before, just stay tuned and you will see and then know the differences between them. Then describe how Microsoft 365 empowers both people that are working in hybrid and those that are working remotely. We would see how that works, including those that are even frontline workers, right? So we're going to describe Microsoft 365 Copilot and the Microsoft 365 Copilot charts. So we'll differentiate between them and see the similarities as well in a demo session. So now, what is Microsoft 365? So if you want to define Microsoft 365, right? So one thing that stands out for me in a way to break it down, I will just define it from what Microsoft Learn has given to it as a definition, which is classic, which is perfect, right? So Microsoft 365 is a cloud-powered productivity platform that brings together the best in-class productivity applications from Microsoft 365 with advanced device management, intelligence, and security, as well as innovation and innovative online service. This definition is fine, it's nice. But the better way to understand how this works is if you are able to dissect the definition, then you'll be able to integrate it and use your own language to explain really what M365 is. Now, look at it. Microsoft 365 is actually a cloud powered productivity tool. So you can call it a cloud based solution, right? Which is focused on improving productivity across different platforms. And then this brings together the best in-class productivity applications, which is the traditional application from Microsoft 365, with advanced device management, intelligence, security, innovation, and online services. So what this just means is that M365 is a combination of the traditional Office application and services coming from M365, as well as advanced device management and security. So what that means is that M365 include your traditional app. So what are the traditional app? Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, plus services like Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, right? And other applications like I will talk about Microsoft Form, Visio, Sway, and all of that coming with that, right? And then plus advanced device management. So the device management is actually coming with security as part of it. So if you want to define M365 after this, now you have to now say M365 is a cloud-based solution. That's number one. That is mainly to boost productivity by bringing in the traditional application, which include Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so on, as well as other services which include Microsoft Teams, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft SharePoint Online, right? OneDrive for Business and other applications, as well as secure. Essence is to boost innovation in our everyday life, right? So Microsoft 365 helps drive productivity. It helps to drive collaboration and communication securely across many devices. Whether you are at home, you can access your files, your all your resources, right? Whether you are in the office, even on the go, right, on your mobile, so on different devices, on your PC, on your tablet, on your mobile phone, you can really access your applications, your files, your data entirely in the office without having to, practically travel down to your office environment. So it's actually aids smart working, right? So Microsoft 365 has different plans. You have a plan for home, you have a plan for business, and you have a plan for enterprise, right? So for the home plan, of course, it's obvious, it's home. Home is for family use, right? Then for business and enterprise, a lot of persons find it difficult to be able to differentiate between business and enterprise. So really, what is the difference between business and enterprise? If you talk about business, right? Business is any, because this, if you look at it from the perspective of conventional definitions, you may not be able to put a line between an enterprise and a business. Maybe because I'm not a social science inclined person. Maybe there are definitions, but from the cloud perspective, business, right? An organization running as a business is an org that has less than 300 workers, 300 users, or 300 staff, right? So once you are having equal to or greater than 300 workers, right, then you are now an enterprise. So in terms of business, there are licenses for business use. So as a matter of mention, I will just try to let you know, but it is not covered within this scope of our conversation today, that you have subscription that range across business basic, business standard, business premium. You have apps for business, right? These are business plans. Then if you come to enterprise as well, you talk about the enterprise E1, you talk about enterprise E3, and then you talk about enterprise E5, right? And then beyond even enterprise, right? M365 also goes into education, right? So when you are a school, there are specific workload, I mean, subscription for you that carry the workload that speak more to academics. All right, so that's why you can hear what like you can hear what like A1, A3, A5 as license that you can, adopt. I think I have, okay, I'm having a flicker in my screen, but apologies for that. If I will need to pause and take care of something, yeah, I will do that. So academics also has its own license requirements. Okay, there is A1, you can hear about A3, you can hear about A5. So what we're trying to say is that irrespective of the kind of organization you are, right, you can really use Microsoft 365 because it cuts across business, academics, and even home use, right? And it combines this application and it carries security along. So Microsoft 365 for business and enterprise is actually going to be our point of consideration or concentration of this conversation, right? So Microsoft 365 operates as a shared responsibility service. So what does it mean? What do we mean by shared responsibility service? Shared responsibility service means that if you are subscribing to Microsoft 365, it's a deal between you and Microsoft, And while it is a deal between you and Microsoft, Microsoft takes care of the underlying infrastructure. But as it has to do with user provisioning, account setup, and then security of those accounts, it is now your responsibility to make sure that those are well managed, right? And then this means that while Microsoft manages infrastructure, like I just said, I preempted this, your organization control how services are configured and are used. Microsoft makes the services available for you, but it is your responsibility to make sure that you maintain what you have in your environment in terms of usage, in terms of access controls, in terms of security generally about your assets, right, that is resting in the cloud. It is your responsibility to make sure that you secure them using the tools that is available within the service. So Microsoft 365 provide fundamental services, including Office app, which is available on the web and mobile. So the good thing about the product is that you can you can decide to access your traditional office application, the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, right on the web, right? And good thing is that even on the mobile, then you can access. So what it means is that there is no stoppage. You can keep on working. Like for example, you can attend to your email on the phone, join your meetings on the phone, transfer your meetings to your between your gadgets. Let's say you were outside of the office, you join the meetings on the phone. You get to the office, you can transfer your call to your laptop and sit down comfortably to take your call. You can even decide to attend to the call on multiple devices. So you can it is flexible enough, right? So email and calendaring service. So email and calendaring service come from the Exchange Online perspective of it. So for emails, Exchange Online takes care of emails for you as part of the Microsoft 365 Business and Enterprise plan, and then the calendaring services too, which is used to schedule your meeting both in Outlook and from the Microsoft Teams, right? So you have file storage and sharing, and this speaks more to OneDrive application, right? So while web access, then calendaring service and email is coming from Exchange, then file storage and sharing is coming from OneDrive and SharePoint. So for OneDrive, OneDrive speaks to the file that individual has, while SharePoint speaks to the file that is belonging to a team, right? For co-authoring and collaboration. While teams and teamwork and communication is coming from the point of Microsoft Teams. And Microsoft Teams really has emanated from the concept has emanated and is now integrated into M365. So you can remember the days of Link 2013. You can remember the days of Skype for Business Online, which was retired in um, August, I think August 31st, 2021, and then Microsoft Teams was now the full blown and then is integrated into M365. Just so when you're having interaction in your, you can decide to send a mail from Outlook to Teams channel. You can decide to share a file with somebody in Teams, and then it get delivered as an email notification in Outlook. So that integration and seamlessness come in there. So if you talk about the Teams and collaboration and communication, teamwork and communication is coming really from Microsoft Teams. Then secure AI chat assistant powered by Chat GPT-4. Right. So what is here is that if you're using M365, so long you have M365, the good thing is that you have access to Copilot chat at least, right? And then when it now comes to going advanced to subscribe for the M365 Copilot, then it means that you want to have it interact with your Microsoft Graph, which is what is going to cover in the subsequent slides. So why this also takes care of security, your system is secure because it uses things like MFA. Then you see things around compliance and identity management. So I will just come back a bit and show you something. If you look at the middle of my screen here, you would see something that is saying power, code power, Copilot not allowed to process. So this is sensitivity label that I decided to attach to this file, just so I can use this to explain to you also that Microsoft 365 it has a robust platform for adopting to compliance, and that is the Microsoft purview, right? So you can really use that to control the compliance of your data, how they are transferred, how they are shared, and how people interact with them. So the security part of it is speaking to the Microsoft Defender, right? So and then we have the identity management, which is the Microsoft Entra, right? Then device management is speaking to mainly to MDM, which is mobile device management, as Intune in this case. So this is Intune, this is Microsoft Entra, Microsoft Purview, and Microsoft Defender. Why the AI chat assistant powered by is talking about Copilot chats. The teamwork and communication is speaking more to Microsoft Teams. Then file storage and sharing is speaking to OneDrive mainly and SharePoint, right? While calendaring service is speaking to Exchange, right? That is provisioning this via the Exchange web service. So we also say that you can access the conventional application on the web. So that is what M365 business applications, I mean, for business and enterprise can be. All right. So we'll take some time to explain this. So Microsoft is something that you really need to look as look at it as a web. When I say web is like something that holds different applications together, right? So you have stuffs here, you have stuffs here. So this drags to this can interact with this. So what actually connect and have interaction, understanding between the different, say, what is happening in teams, to know what is happening in groups, or to know what is happening in files that you have, to know what is happening in your devices, to know what is happening in your email, right? It is the Microsoft Graph that is, what do I call it? An integrator, right? It's an integrator of those services that are running across those different platforms. So if you look at Microsoft Graph as an integrator, right? So when it integrates, it seemed to use to analyze your access to the assets that you have and know the level of permissions that you have on different files, right? So the way it works, for example, if you are using the chat, so we'll talk about that. Let's not jump the gun. So, but really, Microsoft Graph is a gateway to reach people-centric data and intelligence in M365. So the intelligence I was trying to explain is that Microsoft Graph, right, tried to know that there was a file that was shared with you from OneDrive. And you know what? It sends an email to you to notify you that the file has been shared with you, right? So when this file has been evaluated, so what happens is that if you want to, let's say for example, the file was shared with you with a limited view or a restricted view, what that means is that you should be able to view the file, but you should not be able to download it. So Microsoft Graph keeps that knowledge to know that you are not supposed to be able to download that file. So when you are attempting to download it, it remembers how the file was shared with you from your OneDrive, right? So it will deprive you from downloading because it understands what happens, right? Because it actually manages those to know what is happening across all the different platforms. So the fact that the file was shared with you from OneDrive and then it sends an email to you in your Outlook, and then you have the folder hanging in your Outlook, and then because you are giving a restricted permission from OneDrive, you feel that you can, open the file from Outlook and then use Word to download it. It is no, because Microsoft Graph takes care of all of those. So Microsoft Graphs make it easy to stay connected to work no matter what device you are on. And again, Microsoft Graph also make it possible that if you are connected to your mobile phone, right? Connected to your mobile phone, for example, and then you also have your laptop, right, close to you, and then you are looking for a particular file that you had on your mobile phone. So what comes out here is still the same thing as what you have on your mobile. This is because the system knows. Microsoft Graph will be intelligent enough to know the access you have, the folders that are available on your mobile. The same folders are replicated to your laptop, and the same folders are replicated as well to your tablet, right? So, and you can really access the same and have equal rights. I mean, when I say equal rights, equal permissions on those files, as irrespective of the devices that you are having access to that file. So Microsoft Graphs knows. So it's the intelligence that is into the data management, right? And it works on it works based on identity and access that you have to those files. So Microsoft 365 learns from users and collates insights through Microsoft Graph by analyzing users' data and activities across different Microsoft products and services. So one thing that stands out here, the Microsoft Graph plays a vital role in Microsoft 365 Copilot and AI-powered productivity tool, right? So for the Microsoft, forget about the coming soon, it has come already, right? So if, for example, you are using ChatGPT, right? I mean, you are using Copilot, right? Copilot, and then you are a user, and then you query Copilot, you use Copilot to query your data. This is your data here. Now, what happens is that let me just give like a sketch using Paint, right? To just show you something quickly. So let's say, for example, you are excuse me, this is excuse me, that's not what I wanted to write. I'm going to do this. So let's say this. I'm sure this is big enough, and then you have, let's say, a user here. Let me use a circle instead. So let's say you have a user here, right? So this user is trying to access or query. The user queried Copilot, and then he wanted to request something, and then he reaches out to Copilot and queries Copilot for assistance. I'm just trying to get, let's use green. I hope it's going to be obvious. So when this user, I just want to give like a high level overview, right? So when this user writes a prompt on Copilot to say Copilot, I need you to help me do X, Y, and Z, right? And then the data is sitting, let's say the data is sitting right inside here, right? Let's just say, okay, let's just say the data is sitting inside here, right? So what happens is that the when this user prompts the AI, which is the Copilot, what happens is that the Copilot use the LLM, the large language model, to understand the user's prompts, right? And then it goes to check the data where this person is requesting access to. So what happens is that the fact that the information that was requested from this person needs to be processed for a particular data does not mean that the data will immediately get delivered back to the user for consumption. No. So what happens is that after this user's prompt, and then LLM understands the request that this person is placing and knows that this is the data available for the prompt that this person provided. The next thing that will happen is that the system will contact the Microsoft Graph, right, to check for permission that this particular person who prompted the Copilot, right, has on the data that is used to process the outcome of the prompt. So if Microsoft Graph determine that yes, the person has the required access, so what happens is that it is only there and then that the output can go now to the user to say, okay, this is the data you asked for, and this is the information you are looking for. Let's say, for example, the person is looking for how to understand the leave policy in the organization, right? So, and then it prompts to see how many days leave are available from Copilot, right? Copilot checks the maybe the SharePoint site of HR to see the information that this guy is asking for regarding leave. So if the guy has leave, if the policy around leave is available, it does not just return the answer to the guy who is prompting the system. It forwards it to Microsoft Graph to confirm this guy's access, to see that if he has the access before finally the output about the policy remaining is returned to the person as an output. So this is like an overview of how Microsoft Graph can be used to grant permissions to people who are looking for files. So just give me a second. Let me just grab something. Alrighty. Thank you very much for holding or staying put. I'm just trying to power my PC. Okay. All right. So I think yeah, back up now. Microsoft Graph to really know what permission this person has. So this is like the high level overview of how Microsoft Graph really works. So now let's go on to the next one, right? So we want to now differentiate between Microsoft 365 and Office 365. So really, what is it? Microsoft 365 is a cloud-based service that include applications such as Word, such as Excel, such as PowerPoint and Outlook, along with services such as Microsoft Exchange, SharePoint, Teams, and OneDrive. So what are we saying? The Office 365 include the traditional application. What are those? Word. What are those? Excel. What are those? PowerPoint and maybe Outlook, and Outlook not maybe, and Outlook also, along with services. What